Welcome to the Mystery Archive. This is the home of forgotten stories, unexplained events, and, well, the strangest anomalies history left behind. What if the walls of a house could scream? For decades, the Olkhama House has been whispered about in hushed tones, shrouded in a terrifying past linked to the demonic entity known as Zozo. We are not just telling another ghost story here at the Mystery Archive. We're peeling back the layers of its dark history, examining documented evidence, and uncovering the chilling events that refuse to stay buried. This isn't entertainment for the faint of heart. This is a journey into one of the most disturbing locations in paranormal history, where the line between legend and reality becomes, honestly, terrifyingly blurred. The Olkhama House stands as a testament to architectural ambition gone horribly wrong. Constructed in 1888 by industrialist Marcus Olkhama, the three-story Victorian mansion was initially designed as a symbol of prosperity in what was then a burgeoning railroad town. The original blueprints, which we've managed to track down through county records, reveal a surprisingly conventional floor plan with no occult symbolism or unusual architectural features that might suggest sinister intentions. Marcus Olkhama was, by all historical accounts, a pragmatic businessman who made his fortune in timber and rail transport, not someone particularly interested in the supernatural or esoteric practices. However, local folklore tells a different story entirely. According to oral histories passed down through generations of townspeople, the land upon which the Olkhama House was built had been considered cursed by indigenous populations long before European settlement. These accounts, though difficult to verify through written records, speak of the site being used for burial purposes and as a place where the boundaries between worlds grew thin. Whether Marcus Olkhama knew of these warnings or dismissed them as superstition remains unclear, but what is certain is that the house's reputation for strangeness began almost immediately after construction was completed. The building's original purpose was straightforward enough. Marcus intended it as both a family residence and a place to entertain business associates, complete with a grand ballroom and multiple guest quarters. The early years appeared unremarkable, with society pages of the local newspaper documenting various gatherings and celebrations held within its walls. Yet even during this supposedly innocent period, servants who worked in the house reported unsettling experiences. Journals and letters from household staff, discovered in estate sales decades later, mention unexplained cold spots, the sensation of being watched, and doors that would lock or unlock of their own accord. These early testimonies are particularly valuable because they predate the house's notorious reputation, suggesting that whatever phenomena plagued the location existed from the very beginning, independent of expectation or suggestion. The pivotal moment in Olkhama House's transformation from curiosity to nightmare occurred in 1905, when the entire Olkhama family vanished without a trace. Marcus, his wife Catherine, and their 3 children simply disappeared one autumn night, leaving behind a house with the dinner table still set, personal belongings untouched, and, well, no indication of struggle or forced entry. The local sheriff's investigation turned up nothing. No bodies were ever found, no ransom notes received, and no credible sightings reported, despite extensive searches. Theories about the family's fate ranged from the mundane to the macabre. Some suggested Marcus had orchestrated an elaborate escape to avoid financial ruin, though subsequent examination of his business dealings revealed no evidence of impending bankruptcy. Others whispered about foul play, pointing fingers at business rivals or disgruntled employees, yet, honestly, no suspects were ever seriously pursued. The most disturbing theory, one that gained traction in retrospective analysis, suggested that something within the house itself was responsible for their disappearance. Throughout the early 20th century, the Olkhama House changed hands repeatedly, with no family residing there for more than a few years. Each successive group of residents reported increasingly disturbing phenomena. Documentation from the 1920s includes police reports of disturbances, letters to local newspapers describing unexplained occurrences, and even a psychiatric evaluation of one former resident who claimed to have been pursued by shadows that whispered names in forgotten languages. The connection to the entity known as Zozo emerged prominently in the 1970s, when the house became a destination for the burgeoning paranormal investigation community. Zozo, for those unfamiliar, is a name associated with a malevolent entity that allegedly communicates through Ouija boards and spirit communication devices. Reports of Zozo encounters had been documented in various locations worldwide, but the Olkhama House became ground zero for this particular phenomenon. Multiple investigation teams reported the same experience. Communication sessions that began innocuously would inevitably spell out ZOZO, often followed by threatening messages, physical sensations of oppression, and in several documented cases, investigators experiencing psychological breakdowns or unexplained injuries shortly after their visits. The testimony of those who have experienced the Olkhama House firsthand provides some of the most compelling evidence for its supernatural reputation. Sarah Pemberton, who spent 3 nights in the house as part of a paranormal research project in 1998, described her experience in vivid detail during an interview we conducted for the Mystery Archive. She recounted feeling an overwhelming sense of dread that intensified as night fell, culminating in what she described as a conversation through an EVP session, where a voice clearly stated "leave" or "join us" before her recording equipment inexplicably malfunctioned. Modern paranormal investigators have brought increasingly sophisticated equipment to bear on the Olkhama House mystery. Thermal imaging cameras have captured unexplained cold spots that move with apparent intelligence. EMF detectors register spikes in electromagnetic fields that correspond with reported supernatural experiences. Audio recordings have captured numerous examples of electronic voice phenomena, some disturbingly clear, and others that seem to layer multiple voices speaking simultaneously. Perhaps most unsettling are the full-spectrum camera captures that show shadowy figures in areas where no physical presence could be accounted for. These aren't grainy, ambiguous images that require imagination to interpret. They're distinct, humanoid forms that appear and disappear in ways that defy conventional explanation. However, responsible investigation requires us to examine these claims critically. Not everything reported at Olkhama House withstands scrutiny. Many supposed hauntings can be attributed to the building's deteriorating infrastructure, which creates natural sounds that frightened visitors misinterpret. The house's location near electromagnetic sources, including old power lines and geological formations with high mineral content, could explain some EMF readings. Additionally, The psychological phenomenon known as the nocebo effect, where negative expectations create real physiological responses, undoubtedly plays a role in some experiences. When people enter a location expecting to encounter something terrifying, their heightened state of anxiety can produce genuine physical symptoms and perceptual distortions. Yet even after accounting for these rational explanations, a core of truly inexplicable phenomena remains. Multiple investigators with no prior knowledge of each other's experiences have reported identical encounters in specific locations within the house. Objects have moved in full view of multiple witnesses and recording equipment simultaneously. And then there's the documented pattern of psychological disturbance among extended visitors, a pattern that emerges regardless of whether individuals believe in the supernatural beforehand. This consistency across time, witnesses, and circumstances suggests that something beyond mere legend or suggestion is at work. What could account for the persistent activity at Olkhama House? Several theories have emerged over the years, each attempting to explain the phenomena through different frameworks. The geological theory proposes that the land beneath the house contains mineral deposits or water sources that create natural electromagnetic fields capable of affecting human perception and electronic equipment. This would explain some of the sensory experiences and equipment malfunctions without requiring supernatural intervention. Some researchers have noted similarities between locations with high paranormal activity and areas with unusual geological features, suggesting a possible correlation that deserves further investigation. The historical trauma theory takes a psychological and metaphysical approach, suggesting that traumatic events can somehow imprint themselves on physical locations, creating a kind of environmental memory that manifests as paranormal activity. The disappearance of the Olkhama family, combined with other undocumented tragedies that may have occurred throughout the house's history, could have created layers of psychic residue that sensitive individuals can perceive or interact with. This theory has gained traction in parapsychology circles, though it remains controversial and difficult to test empirically. Then there's the theory that something genuinely malevolent inhabits the location. Proponents of this view point to the intelligent and often hostile nature of the phenomena, arguing that environmental factors or residual energy couldn't account for the directed, purposeful activity reported by witnesses. The consistent emergence of the Zozo identity across different investigation sessions, often from people unfamiliar with the entity's broader lore, suggests a coherent presence rather than random supernatural static. Whether this represents a demonic entity, as traditional demonologists would argue, or some other form of malevolent consciousness remains a subject of intense debate. We must also consider the role that legend itself plays in perpetuating and possibly amplifying the phenomena. The Olkhama House has become a focal point for paranormal tourism, with thousands of people visiting specifically because of its reputation. This concentrated attention, combined with the expectations and fears visitors bring with them, might create a feedback loop that actually enhances supernatural activity. Some theories in consciousness studies suggest that focused human attention can influence physical reality in subtle but measurable ways. Today, the Olkhama House stands in a state of controlled abandonment, privately owned but occasionally accessible for sanctioned paranormal investigations. Its reputation has only grown stronger with time, cementing its status as one of the most investigated paranormal locations in the country. The house has been featured in numerous documentaries, podcasts, and investigative series, each adding new layers to its already complex mythology. Yet despite decades of investigation and countless hours of research, the fundamental mystery remains unsolved. We can document the phenomena, catalogue the experiences, and analyze the evidence, but we cannot definitively explain what makes the Olkhama House such a persistent hotspot for supernatural activity. What have we learned from this deep dive into one of paranormal investigation's most compelling mysteries? First, that the line between documented history and supernatural legend is often far blurrier than we'd like to admit. The Olkhama House's story is rooted in verifiable historical events, the 1905 disappearance of the family being the most significant. Yet, these facts have become intertwined with folklore and personal testimony in ways that make separating truth from embellishment nearly impossible. Second, we've learned that consistency of experience across time and witnesses carries significant weight. When dozens of people independently report similar phenomena in the same location, dismissing these accounts becomes increasingly difficult, even for committed skeptics. Perhaps most importantly, the Olkhama House reminds us why we pursue these mysteries in the first place. In an age where so much has been explained, quantified, and rationalized, places like this offer us a glimpse into the unknown that remains stubbornly resistant to easy answers. They challenge our assumptions about reality, consciousness, and the nature of existence itself. Whether you believe the house is genuinely haunted by a malevolent entity, experiencing unusual environmental phenomena, or serving as a blank canvas onto which we project our deepest fears, the Olkhama House undeniably represents something significant in our ongoing relationship with the supernatural. If you've made it this far in our investigation, you're clearly someone who appreciates diving deep into the unknown. We here at the Mystery Archive are committed to bringing you thoroughly researched, engaging content that respects both the mystery and the truth. If you haven't already, subscribe to our channel and hit that notification bell so you never miss our next investigation. Share this video with fellow mystery enthusiasts who appreciate a good deep dive into the paranormal. And if you've had your own experiences with Zozo, the Olkhama House, or similar locations, we want to hear from you. Share your stories in the comments below. Your experiences contribute to our collective understanding of these phenomena and help us all navigate the shadowy boundary between the known and the unknown. Until next time, keep questioning, keep investigating, and remember that the best mysteries are the ones that refuse to be easily solved.